Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a good night. Today I'm going to be continuing with our elf, continuing a bit of refining, seeing how far we can get. I've moved around a few of my cameras, so I think my face is going to look like insane because of how close I sit to my lamp, but it is what it is. Also going to be trying out a few different paints to what I normally try out, so we'll see how everything goes, I guess. Incredibly dramatic lighting indeed. Alrighty, so this is where we got him to last time. We nicely in focus, hope so. I'm interrogating the miniature. So yeah, that is the idea, and we'll see how we go. I think we're a touch bright maybe, but let me know if anything looks a bit awkward. We'll see how we go. So last time I spent a lot of time like sort of doing a bunch of sketching, and then like early stages of refining, I guess. Now we're going to sort of start trying to do things a little slower, a little more precise. I'm not a particularly fast painter, but we'll see how we go, how far we can get tonight. So, switching from the sort of broad strokes I was doing, if you watched in any of the last videos, to sort of pretty small movements with the brush and, you know, small. I'm trying out some new paints I picked up from AK as well, so different to what I'm used to working with. So I'm not really sure how much progress I'll even get done, to be totally honest. It'll mostly be like trying out new colors and seeing how they work a little bit in comparison to what I'm used to. So I'm just working on this little triangle on his cheek, see if I can get that looking how I want it to look, basically. I think we probably need to extend the light a little further across onto the right. It's probably dropping off a little too much. Like I mentioned, it's sort of going to be much smaller movements of the brush now, rather than sort of the more sketchy tone we were going for last time, I guess. So what I'm trying to do when I turn him to the side is line him up to the, like my eye, as if my eye is the light source, so I can, if you see me closing my eye, that's what I'm doing, to try and make sure I'm sort of lining everything up well, the cast shadow and whatnot. And usually what I'll try and do is when I get to this point, like just focus on single parts of the face, small single parts of the face, to see if I can, you know, get them close to finished And yeah, so at least we're making some good progress. Thanks for following. Appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the stream. And Ferno, thanks for resubscribing. How you doing, man? Having a good night? I saw you were painting some Seraphon before. How are they going? 2 months already. It doesn't feel like that. It feels a lot less. Feels like it's been like a week or two. So I should say, actually, one of the other things I did in between, I haven't painted this guy anymore since the last time I was on stream, but one of the things I did do was take a bunch of photos of him, whack him into Procreate, and see if I can sort of play around with a few shapes and colors and work out how I'm going to light him and paint the different volumes on his face. So yeah, I've got some new reference photos I'm working from pretty much. Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, I guess this would be, is this the 4th time I'm streaming on Sunday, or the 3rd? No, it must be the 4th, right? Or is it the 5th? I don't know. Must be the 4th. Time flies. Hey Seamus, how you doing? We love painting. Actually doing some right now instead of procrastinating. Are you still painting at the moment, man? Or are you done for the night? How about everyone else? Anyone else out there painting at the moment, or are we all chilling out for the rest of the night? Definitely not playing Monster Hunter instead of painting. Gathering inspiration. I don't really know Monster Hunter. Hey, it's I don't think I've ever played any of them. Is it good? I'm liking it quite a bit so far. First in the series, so all new. Yeah, cool. So I think we want some of these like little specular highlights to punch a bit more in this little cheek here. I know I see a lot of painters who say they don't mix white, like pure white. They like to use like ice yellow or ivory or something like that. I don't know. I always just mix white in. I'm sure they know something I don't, but I don't know. I'm finding it alright. I get the idea, like, you know, if you're not using pure white, then if you need to do final highlights, then you can still highlight up with pure white later. But yeah, I don't know. It's just never been how I've worked, I guess. But could be worth trying, I guess, sometime. So just trying to get this real little corner of light here looking good. It's a small area, and sometimes it's nice to start a session with something small so you can get a bit of a win and then, you know, work yourself up to things that are more complicated, I guess. White or ivory feels dependent on lighting. Yeah, that's pretty fair, I think. I mean, I mentioned before, this guy, I'm sort of trying to make him look like he's being lit by the sun. That's the idea, at least. Well, that's going to be the idea, at least. Did you make much progress with your painting today, Seamus? Or anyone else for that matter who was painting today? Whoops. I should get the model's base out of the way so you can see what I'm doing on the palette. Just mixing up a slightly darker shadow tone here. Should keep this guy on screen, shouldn't I? So you're not just looking at nothing. What I'm going to end up doing as well is sort of in this shadow of the cheek and jawline, I'll probably end up brightening that up a bit as well to give it a bit more reflected light coming off his hair. I think it's a bit too dark at the moment. What do you guys reckon? We'll see. Just trying to have a look at him in my camera as well. Make sure it's all showing okay for you guys. Looks alright. I think so. See how we go. Alright, let's move on to his forehead a little more. He's got a pretty big forehead. I've got a little bit of paint texture that I've built up that I'll probably have to sand back at some stage. It's pretty hard to see, but there, see that line right up the top? That's just from me, you know, slapping the paint on, probably a little bit thick, but not an insurmountable problem. We can fix that up later. Just sand it back with some really fine sandpaper, and then paint over it. Probably do that sooner rather than later though. And as usual guys, make sure you let me know if you can't see what I'm doing or I drift out of frame or anything like that. So I'm not keeping a super close eye on the screen to see what's in frame. Right. Do you appreciate other streamers keeping it on camera more now? I do. I always think like people who manage to paint and keep the model in frame are doing a pretty good job, to be honest. I have no idea. I think really the ideal way of doing it is you need someone like manning the camera while you're painting, you know. Otherwise, you're just going to move around too much. You need a cameraman with you at all times. It's probably like the most ideal way of doing things. I tried to set up the camera like in a way that is least intrusive to my painting, but that means you might not always have the best view. But I figure like at least that way then I can actually paint a model, you know. Yeah, exactly. Clary, another job for you. You can just stand behind me on the camera and man it all day. Huh. trying to strengthen this highlight on his forehead. I don't know if we're doing a particularly good job of it. I might actually get some sandpaper out and shave it back in a second because it's looking a bit funky and it's kind of getting in the way of my painting a little bit. We'll see. Something I probably should have done before streaming. Always think of something I need to have done before I started up. Such an angular face, doesn't he? This guy. Very, very angular face. So I'm trying to, I think this time, last time where I finished, I thought his skin was looking a bit too washed out, a bit lifeless. So I'm trying to not just sort of, get it closer to finishing this session, but also try to add a little more color into it than I had last time, because it was looking a little too flat, I think. So hopefully by the end we'll have a slightly more alive looking elf if everything goes well. As I mentioned before, it's all really small brush movements now. Little bits of refining. Hopefully at the end of the session we'll have a face that's actually pretty close-ish to, maybe not done, but decent enough that we could get close to calling it done. I don't really know what I'm aiming for with this. I don't think it's really much of a competition model, just something to have a bit of fun with. Paint on the stream for a little. But people are seeming to like it, so I want to do a good job. These jowls, these little spots under his lip, I don't know what they're called. They're pretty pronounced in this guy. Trying not to make them too extreme, but he's got quite a downturned mouth. If you really exaggerate these, he can look quite pouchy. But he's not the happiest elf of all time, I don't think, given the expression on his face. And we want to find ways to lean into the expression that's been sculpted on and exaggerate it in some ways and stuff. Hopefully you're actually seeing progress. I feel like, maybe sitting and stippling away at some flesh might not be the most exciting thing to watch on stream. I don't know, you tell me. feel like spots of his face I'm getting happier with. There are definitely a fair few spots on him last time that I wasn't loving. I did a tiny bit of painting before I jumped on Ariat, which is another model that I've been painting. I haven't really done much to it in a while. This is sort of where it's sitting at. Just to get back in the swing of things, but I'll leave that one for another time. I usually don't really love working on multiple models at once. I try to stick with a single thing until it's done. Kind of annoys me to switch between projects for whatever reason. So I should probably try mix up a little bit of like grey, slightly cooler. This is way too grey, but slightly cooler, sort of greyish tone into his like above his top lip, just to give him not quite the impression of like a 5 o'clock shadow, but maybe like a slight impression of, you know, maybe that's where he would grow some facial hair. We'll see. See how it looks, and if it doesn't look good, we'll just paint over it. That's a bit excessive. Paint's very thin at the moment. I'm usually working with the paint, I think, a bit thicker than this. That's probably why I get all this texture that can mess up the models a little bit. So it's probably a good habit to get into, thinning it even more. I don't know. What do we think? Can we see that okay? We'll see. Morning, Frog Jim Jaff. It's actually pretty late at night for us here in Australia. But how you doing? It's 8 o'clock at night here. Where are you coming in from? America, I guess? It's an early morning there, is it? But hello, welcome to the stream. I think we went too dark. That's okay. We can brighten up his little top lip. I think I'm getting a bit too out of focus. Hopefully that's a little better for you guys. Again, let me know if anything starts looking a bit wrong. It's a cold, frosty morning here in the UK. Sun is shining. Ah, nice. Very early in England, is it? What time is it there now? I feel like it's a pretty warmish night. I mean, I've had the air conditioner on most of today, to be honest. I think it was like 26 here. So definitely not cold. Light kind of makes it look like you're having really big ideas. Too much for my brain to contain. That's what's happening when I'm painting. Just constant bright ideas. Yeah, apologies if the light looks absolutely ridiculous on me while I'm painting here. Maybe next time I'll have a better setup. 9:30 in the morning, hey? Ascended painter streams. That's exactly right. We're we're trying to reach a new level of painting existence here, aren't we? This looks great. Thanks man, I appreciate it. Feel like we're getting somewhere. Sometimes when I'm at this stage of painting, like, I can feel like I'm just going in circles on the model. But then eventually things sort of start to click together. So we're definitely at a slightly slower progress phase now, I think. Ooh, don't like that. Just little incremental changes, I guess, for now. But I posted him in his, pretty early stage state, and people seemed to like it. I was surprised how much people liked it, because I feel like the last stream I did with him, it ended in a state where I wasn't super happy with it. So it was nice to see people liking it. Definitely got a few encouraging comments. Making his lip pretty strong. Really exaggerate his cranky expression. Both sides of the very downturned mouth. Try to get a lot of red in the parts where like different pieces of skin are meeting, so like between the lips or folds of his nose, things like that, like this little downturn bit of his lip here, and it'll be same with under the shadows of his eyes. So we see it gets pretty red. Yeah, that's the idea. Lots of red. And again, I mentioned before, but sorry if the palette camera is in shadow too much. I think same kind of story with this insane light on my forehead. It's kind of we'll deal with it for now, or I can't paint. So hopefully it's not too annoying for you guys. Alrighty, so let's neaten up where we went over the skin here, just under his lip. When will you start on the shirt? To be honest, I probably won't touch his shirt until I finish his face. I feel like right now there's enough there that it gives me an idea what it's gonna look like, which is sort of what I wanted. I just wanted there to be some color and the rough value, because it's going to be quite a dark green. I'll obviously fix up the highlights and stuff when I get to it more, but I'll probably try and, to be totally honest, almost completely finish his face and hair, like not completely, but get him quite close to finished before I do more on his shirt, I think. I don't know. If everyone gets way too bored of me just sitting here stippling away on his face, maybe I'll switch over, we'll see. I actually think now I'm a bit happier with that sort of cooler top lip tone, where he's a little bit of not quite moustache going on. Let's try to fix up his actual bottom lip as well. Feel free to give me any feedback as I'm going, guys. If there's something you'd like to see, well, I'll try and get to it if I can. I think we're looking pretty good. Bottom of his face looking nice. Might strengthen this main highlight in his chin here. Make it a little rounder, maybe make it go a little lower. Look at my reference photo a little bit. New Spirit out of 10 rating. Well, that is a good question. I know he's pretty high up there for you, I would assume, being an orc. I really like it. I think as far as Spiras go, as far as the mercenaries go, he's probably maybe my least favorite of the mercenaries. But that being said, I still like it a lot. You know what I mean? It's like the least good Spira is still a mile better than anything else, and I would hardly say it's anything like that. I still think it's really, really good, and I'll definitely buy it. I might buy 2 of them, but I think what it is that I love the that Goblin Mercenary so much, and it's the one of the mercenary models that I don't have, that I'm just too triggered that I don't have it at the moment. And so this orc's come out and reopened old wounds. I like it. I like that he's got a crazy pig nose. The shield is quite large. I think it'll be interesting to paint that shield and make it look interesting, make it look good. And he's got quite a big tabard in the front. I still think mercenary ratings. Goblin is the best dwarf, orc, elf. I think I would switch the orc and elf for me, because I like elves. And again, it's as I mentioned before, it's any model from him is phenomenal. So even if it's like your he's not as much of a favorite as some of the other mercenary models, it's still like a phenomenal model that I'll definitely buy more than one of, probably, as I mentioned, and we'll definitely try and paint someday. I think, funnily enough as well, I don't think I would paint it green. I think I would try and paint him some kind of weird kind of skin colors. Yeah, exactly. It's not a ranking of good to bad. It's like incredible to good. Yeah, exactly. He's out there giving us some of the best models to paint that exist. So I'm very excited to paint another one of his sculpts very soon. So can't wait. What do we think? I think that's actually looking pretty good, that bottom half of his face. We're going to have to return to the top half and make that look good. Try and really punch up some of these little spot highlights. Sometimes I feel like I try to go for highlights that cover wider areas. He's kind of turning out, I feel like this skin tone, like the way I'm painting it, is a little different to how I normally paint skin. I can't quite put my finger on why. Maybe it's just the model and how like angular his face is. It reminds me more of the Japanese D&D depictions of orcs. They're much more pig, which is cool. Still feels like a wild pivot. Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said there. Hey JC, how you doing? Having a good night? We're just talking about the new Spiro. What do you think of him? We're kind of coming down on he's really good, but maybe we like some of the other mercenaries a little bit more. What are your thoughts? But as Seamus has just mentioned in the chat, every one of his models is amazing. So, good repainting elements of the current mini. Yeah, nice. Is that your one you bought to the guild meetup? Yeah, nice. Is it getting close to finished? Well, I mean, he was pretty close to finished when I saw him, so surely it's getting even closer to finished. Started Angry Birds, nice. Oh man, talking of Spiros, man. That is a one model I would absolutely love to own. I'm very jealous that you're getting to paint that, to be honest. I really like Angry Bird. Is anyone jumping in that's like not following painting? They're just like someone who, I really like Angry Birds. But he's a cool model. I'll send you pics, but basically redid the face and back of the cape, redid the skulls. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, doing an intense like freehand pattern on something like that is always going to be pretty time consuming, isn't it? Yeah. So don't envy you that job. Muzaffar Varpov is another amazing sculptor. Yeah, and he's a hand sculptor as well. Very similar vein to old Lucas Pina, isn't he? He's made some pretty cool stuff for Akalare, right? Like he's got some really cool models. I just saw that one that he posted the other day that's like a king or something, guy with a crown and like a table of money. That was quite cool. Yeah, quite cool indeed. Not sure I've seen an orc like that before. Pretty cool. Yeah, definitely a different take on the orcs than we would normally see in miniature painting space, isn't it? Definitely different. Which is kind of what I like about, like, you know, that's one of the nice things about Lucas sculpts, that you know, this this space does get pretty crowded with like fantasy tropes, so he always has like a pretty different take on them, which is always nice to see. He's been putting out some rippers of late. Very Gamorrean Guard-esque face. I was thinking Star Wars. Yeah, true, very Star Wars, but I would assume maybe Star Wars was inspired by the same stuff originally. I don't know. Oh, we're looking pretty good. But yeah, I feel like I mean, I don't know, I've only been collecting the Spiras for like in real time for not that long, right? Like I've picked up some old ones, you know, but in terms of buying them as they're released, I've only been aware of his models for like the past 3 or 4. So it feels like this one's come out in no time after the Dungeon guys. I don't know, can you guys tell me, is he picking up the pace of releases lately, or has it always been this kind of cycle? I guess maybe it's not that the release schedule is increasing in speed, but that just time seems to be going so fast. Maybe that's what's happening. December, March, June, and September, every 3 months. Okay, fair enough. Well, that makes sense. So I'm gonna try real small, real bright little spots of highlight on his chin here. Always the same. One starts getting delivered, the new one comes out. Yeah, fair enough. Man, I've really been on the search for some of his old ones lately. I feel like I check eBay every other day just to see if someone's selling a Goblin Mercenary or Bolsaurus or something. Man, I would really love to paint those models, hey? We'll see. Maybe I'll end up painting a Spira on the stream sometime. That could be fun. I imagine a lot of it will be like this, where like, you know, very small brush movements and not a lot's happening. Yeah, this is a Mindworks bust. This is the Usurper bust, the academic one. Do you remember they were giving him out for free on Black Friday if you bought 3 models? So did a big order with them and had him delivered. They also make a slightly larger version of this where he's got an arm with a sword and some spikes on his shoulder, and it's 1/9 scale, so it'd be bigger as well. This one's 1/12, I think. It's a little bit smaller. Just to give you guys a heads up, in about 10 minutes or so, I'll take a bit of a break to stretch my legs, and I have to run an ad so Twitch doesn't yell at me. But we still got some time yet before I have to do that. So, but yeah, Mindworks been putting out some crazy good stuff. I just got slapped with the shipping cost for my Kickstarter, which was pretty gnarly, but I feel like I bought a ton from that Kickstarter, so I'm not that upset about it. But it's €50, which is not cheap for shipping. But you know, we're in Australia, so I feel like we're always getting slammed with stuff like that. Oh. But I'm really looking forward to the Mindworks stuff finally rocking up. Hopefully it doesn't take too much longer. Now that they've charged us for shipping. I'm really looking forward to those little busts that were like free add-ons from the Kickstarter. They'll be good to do just like this, like relatively casual models that you can just kind of get done in a few sittings, although I have no idea how long this will end up taking me. But I'm certainly not taking it too seriously, I guess, as far as like busts go. We'll see. He's turning out pretty good, so I shouldn't be too dismissive. So, Frog Jim Jaff, what are you working on at the moment? You doing any painting right now, or got something on the painting table? Gonna probably maybe overdo these highlights a little bit on his cheek, and then maybe chip into them a little bit. My head's in the way a little bit. Okay, thanks. Muzaffar Varpov bust. Oh, cool. Which one are you working on? He's had a few pretty cool ones that have come out. I could definitely see myself painting that recent one, the guy with the coins on the table that he just released. Or I feel like there's one or two others I've seen that I've liked. I usually save them on Instagram or something like that, just so I can come back and look at them later. Usually at 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Yeah, fair enough. I feel like you know, if you can keep the desk constantly set up to paint, and then you know, get a little bit in whenever you can, then at least you're making some progress, right? If my head gets in the way just while I'm doing this, it's a pretty delicate spot, so you guys might just have to cop it for a little bit, and then I'll show you what I've done. So let's have a little take stock. Try and get him in focus for you guys. There we go. Looking alright. Oh, let's check this model out. Oh yeah, I know this one. I actually think one of the guys at our Sydney painting meetups was painted this, named Sean. This is a cool model. Man, Black Sun have just done a little re-release. I don't know if it's a re-release, but they're taking orders for it again for that robot guy. I'm really thinking about buying that model. It's really cool. Guardian. I just saw it as related on the link you just sent me. Kids always want something, house stuff to do, sit down, and someone wants something, yeah, well, hard to find the time. You just got to do it when you can, I guess, right? Yeah, the robot's so good. I definitely want to buy that robot. It's so cool. I also ordered the Adrian Smith goblins from them, which, you know, who knows when they'll end up making their way here. They've not really done the best communication in the world, but I'm not that worried. I'm pretty excited for those models when they do rock up, though. Alright, got a bit of an awkward spot here, so just give me a second. Just doing his eyelids. Just look at him in the camera now. Pretty cool. I think he's certainly getting there. Gonna try and get a little more colour in the shadows on this light side. I feel like they've gone a bit grey. Sometimes that happens if you're not careful, and like, I don't know, I'm hardly an expert, but sometimes I feel like skin tones, like a lot of the time they increase in saturation as they get into shadow, especially in certain spots. I think my shadows were just getting a bit too grey and washed out. Hopefully this will make them look a little better. Try and get some more sort of orange brown into the dark spots. But yeah, the that Black Sun robot, I think I'm going to buy that. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I say that about every model, don't I? I'll probably buy it, and it'll just sit there on the shelf for a little while. Alright, I'm going to give it 5 minutes on the hour. I'll take a quick break. And then we'll come back in a few minutes. Sorry, I didn't realize the time was getting away from me. How it flies when you're having fun, hey guys? I'm sure you're all having just as much fun as me. Alright, let's get a little brighter. Oh, sorry, my head was right in the way there. I'll have the Terminator on Big Lou done tomorrow, so he's thinking more about my upcoming projects again today after our conversation about different scales. Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how that guy comes along. I think he's looking pretty good. Seamus, I think he's looking pretty good. But yeah, man, I'm certainly in a bit of a weird in-between state where I'm finding it quite hard to choose what to paint next. I feel like I'm maybe overthinking it a little bit, and I should just do something, you know. We'll see how we go. Feeling a little pressure from the last two models doing pretty well, you know. That like the next one I do has to be really good, you know. But I think I should just paint not worry about that stuff so much. Started building one of those Boingrop bounders. You can't relate. Come on, son. You've done some good stuff lately. Your Sebastian's Crabman was really good. Despite any comments to the contrary you might have heard. Alright. Just one quick little bit and then we're going to take a break. Go to the bathroom, get a drink, walk around for a minute and then run our ad so we don't get in trouble. And then we'll be back. Alright, pretty good progress so far I think. Are we in focus? Can you see the model? Pretty good progress so far. I think the bottom half of his face looking pretty good. We got to fix the top half of his face. Alright, let's take a break guys. We'll be back pretty close to on the hour. I'll see you very, very soon. Be right back. And we're back. Alright. 23 Sky GG. Thanks for following. Appreciate it. I'm going to just sand the top of his forehead to try and smooth that out. How was our... Winnie the Dad. Thanks for following. Appreciate it. So... we're just painting, if you're just tuning in, we're just painting the face of this Mindworks bust, and I had just had a little bit of paint texture building up around the top here. If that happens, we don't need to stress, and I see like so many people like worried, oh my god, I gotta strip the whole model now and repaint it. Just take like something quite fine, like one of these like little sand and sticks that's really fine grit, and you can just sand it back, and then if you varnish him later, the texture should be good. And don't worry too much about messing up something you've already done, right? Still in the middle of painting it. We're going to do lots of messing up and lots of fixing up as well. So as long as the painting surface is nice and smooth, nothing will be too much of a problem. I think we're mostly good. Just try and give it quite a light touch. Alright. Hopefully that'll be enough. And then I'm just giving it a wash with a wet brush to get any little loose particles. There might be some people who are like more experienced modelers and painters than me that are just like, why are you doing such a stupid thing? There's a way easier way to do that, but I haven't come across it yet. So if you've got any tips, I'm all ears. Alright. So, I think the bottom half of his face is looking pretty good. Pretty close to where I want it, I think. I'm going to try to just make it a touch darker, because I feel like maybe it's not quite showing in the screen how I'm seeing it in real life. I don't know. What do you guys think of him? I'll upload a photo on my Instagram after this anyway, so you'll be able to have another look at it there, if you so choose, and see what you think. But hopefully by the end of our stream, we want his face, you know, sort of pretty close to done, with the exception of maybe like, you know, some finishing touch-ups that you do, you know, once the model's basically finished. So, you know, I wanna have the face done enough that I don't have to worry about it until the rest of the model is done, and then we can just kind of tie everything together if we need to on a last pass. of everything. Sound good? I think so. Something about this little... Oh, sorry, my head's getting in the way again. Something about this spot here on his cheek that I'm not in love with. I think I'm going to try and bring this highlight down a little further. Sort of connected to this one just under his nose. And then maybe it's also that the nose looks a bit awkward. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I'm like slowly getting a handle on how I like painting skin, but Jesus, I feel like there's still just so much I need to learn. You know, like, I feel like it's one of the areas that like my painting is getting quite good at, but it's also like one of the areas where I still feel like I know the least. I've had a thought about trying to work out how to get some kind of backing music playing while I'm painting. What do you guys think? Would that make a difference to anyone? I feel like sometimes I can't handle the awkward silences, so I just start rambling to myself. Maybe I wouldn't feel the need so much to talk while saying nothing if there was a little bit of music playing. Although I'd probably have to wear headphones in that case, so I don't know. Slowly getting there. You like the rambles? Let me DJ, I'll be responsible. Will you? Do you like the chat there? We had the two people saying I like the rambles, being my fiance and my mum. So I don't know if that's a super accurate gauge of the preferences of the chat. I think we need to go lighter. Just here. Maybe not. Although I'm a big fan of royalty-free jams. That is true. I know you love the royalty-free music, Clary. Something else that has me a bit concerned with this model is what to do on his eyebrows. You're not going to worry about your most important fans. Of course I'm going to worry about my most important fans. I'm just saying they might not be wholly representative of everyone watching. That's all. XTX, thank you for following. I appreciate it. It is definitely a three-way draw with you as well, Seamus. Absolutely. We would never not give you your due. There is something about it, something about this spot that I do not like. Something about it is wrong. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at it from a bit further away. Something's not right, something's not right. It's not that upper lip, I think it's this from here to here. This spot here, I'm not liking. Let's see if we can maybe work something out. Ooh. Didn't like that. Hey, Jordan, how you doing? I assume that's you. How you been, man? All right? No, it doesn't look like I'm doing much. But I feel like, to me at least, it's looking like it's getting a little better. Super busy. Busy days. Yeah, I am definitely going to stream this time every week. That's like the one thing I can definitely commit to doing. Frog Jim Jaff. And then I don't know if I've sorted out other days to do regularly. I'll just try and do them sort of relatively sporadically. I don't know if you turn on the notifications or whatever, or follow me on Instagram if you haven't. I'll post there whenever I'm going to jump on the stream. But I'm not sure what I can do super regularly, but I can definitely do this time regularly and then other times whenever. JC. He likes his aliases, doesn't he? I think that looks a little better. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, I have this habit where when something's wrong, I tend to just paint in circles, without much changing. What do we think? Looking better to me, to my eyes at least. Change it next month. Yeah. Well, I'll try and keep track somehow. Phil McCracken. We'll have to get Seamus to ban you. if there's any more of this. But just to circle back to your question, Frog, I'll call you Frog for short. I'll try and stream as regularly as I can. I don't want it to get in the way of like painting other projects besides just the ones I'll do for stream. But I'll start uploading them on YouTube for people who miss them live and stuff like that. If you know you're interested in watching them more or anything like that, but I do want to stream a bit more regularly. I find it fun, especially to do something like this, which is just a small, like more casual projects, a bit less involved than doing something for a competition. A little more relaxing, I guess. Haven't painted any minis for a bit, but primed Barbie Pez. Yeah, nice. Jordan, did you finish your Joan of Arc, by the way, or have you not gotten back to that yet? I'll be keen to see what you do with that Barbie Pez and the other Superman one you bought. Need a quick drink. Whew. Haven't yet been doing real paintings. Fair enough. That is fair enough. Can't all do little toy paintings all the time, hey? This is a bit of a weird spot in between his hair. I feel like I'm probably going a bit too dark with it because it's quite in the light even though it's in between this hair. So it wouldn't be quite so dark, I don't think. Let's try and get some slightly more reddish. Skin maybe? I don't know. We'll see how it looks. Got to go do grown-up stuff, fix the washing, etc. Thanks for joining, Frog. Appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you next time, I'm sure. Have you watched Fisk at all, by any chance, Jordan? This is a good scene with exactly what you're talking about in one of the episodes. We just started watching it, finished the first season the other day. A bit late to the game, but so good. Yeah, he's hilarious, hey? Aaron Chen. I like his character is so good in that show. So good. Webmaster. I think this looks a bit... What am I doing? You know, sometimes where like you're doing stuff on the model and then you just think, what am I doing? Maybe you guys don't have that. Sometimes I'm putting paint down and I look back at what I've done and I think, what the fuck? Saw his stand up the other day. He's fantastic. Yeah, I haven't seen his stand up at all, but he is really funny. He's a funny guy. And yeah, the show is really good. Really, really good. We like I said, we watched the first season and have enjoyed it a lot. Definitely need to watch more. But you know, it's so short. Don't want to burn through it too quick. You know, I feel like Claire and I talk about this a lot, but like, man, TV was better when you had to wait week to week to watch things. I'm sorry, but binge watching stuff is bad. I hate it. Aaron Chen's carried by his raw sex appeal. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, nice. You saw him actually live? That's cool, man. But yeah, just like, I feel like watching a show week to week, it's better. Gives you time to anticipate the show and gives you time to like look forward to it instead of just watching the whole thing and then putting it out of your mind instantly as soon as it's finished. That's real painting wisdoms over here. Watch your TV shows week to week, folks. Even if every episode's already out. Haven't chatted to you guys about the Spirit Drop either. Thoughts? Oh, Hixie, rating with a party of 6. Thanks for joining. How you doing? You been streaming, I assume. Yab, thanks for the follow. Just painting this here bust. Doing some refining. Seeing how we go. Trying to, by the end of the stream, hopefully get the face mostly finished. If I can. What were you working on? But yeah, just, you know, while we're talking about that, we were talking about the Spirit earlier in the stream, Jordan, and I think our general thoughts are very cool. Not my favorite mercenary, but still very cool nonetheless, and I'll still obviously buy it. What do you think of it? And what were you working on, Hixie? Were you doing some painting, or were you gaming? What were you streaming? Too many conversations happening at once. Huh. Working on Cheap Tusk. Oh, nice. From Sebastian. Very cool. How's that coming along? Enjoying painting it? Haven't seen Mr. In Between Seamus. I don't think I know it, to be honest. A lot of good Australian shows. People really like. Feel like if you ever hear people say like, "Oh, it's not really much good Australian TV," like they just haven't made the effort to find the really good Australian TV, because there's a crap load. There's so much good Australian television. Yeah, the orc is really cool. I will definitely paint it as well. I'll be excited. I'll be keen to see what you make of it. I was saying before, I don't think I would paint it green. But I think I'll definitely paint it at some point. Fun, but coming along slowly. Yeah, fair enough. Have you seen Sebastian's version that he painted? Crimson Brush, I assume you would have. And if you haven't, Kyle Morgan also painted one, which looks really, really cool. So not a huge amount of versions out of Sebastian's orc, but there's at least a couple to get some ideas from, if that's helpful. If you're someone who finds, looking at other people's versions of a model helpful. Nice. Did you get struck by an idea of how you would paint the Spirit Orc at all, Jordan? Just watching it or just looking at it? Oh, you did? I've already got some ideas. Only Seamus, I have to worry about it. You'll never paint it faster than me. That is true. Once you get it, see, here's the thing, Jordan. You might paint it faster, but Seamus will like set his alarm so that he's like one of the first people in the world to order the Spira, and he'll get his like 2 weeks before you get it because he's just waiting there, clicking to make sure he gets his order in super early. Solemn Yas, hello there. The Dixie Raid. I liked Elf's face. Thank you, my friend, and thank you for following Solemn Yas. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. 2 Spiras in the backlog now. You're going to have to speed it up, my friend. Canberra Display Painters Guild is painted a heap of them, and each of us has been given a random colour from the colour wheel. I got stuck with green and I don't like painting green. Ah, fair enough. Well, that's a good way to learn, right? Just get forced to paint something. You're doing that because you want top 10 on a card, Seamus? Is the 26 on Dungeon Friends the best you've gotten? I guess it would be, wouldn't it? 26 is wild. It's very early. I can't remember what mine was, but it was not less than triple digits. I'll have to you haven't posted your Veiled Lamp Orc or anything, have you yet, Hixie? I'll be keen to have a look at it at some point. I think we're going a little too dark on this cheek. We might have to brighten it up in the shadows. I'm not sure. We'll see. Don't want to be too bright. We also don't want to be too dark. Haven't posted any whips. Yeah, fair enough. Hey Joe, how you doing? How's your night been? All right? We got the whole crew here. Have a good rest of the stream. I'll catch you later. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate the raid, and thanks for tuning in. I'm sure I'll see you again, talk to you again sometime soon. Have a good night, man. Joe's here, got to bounce. Huge rip, Jordan. Not very nice. Probably at some stage mix some of this hair color up again, just to might just do a quick proper dark lining of this hair strand here. It's becoming a bit hard to tell where the hair ends and skin begins. We love our dark lines, don't we, folks? The hair's probably looking a bit ridiculous at the moment, but it's alright. It'll look better later. Got distracted by a monster hunter. Missed in between is about a hitman. Legit though, just a coincidence. Looking good though, but get on with it. Meant to be chill. Yeah, I should probably move a little faster, shouldn't I? Eric would have finished 3 models on stream. That is such a good point. But we can't all be Eric Swinson, can we? I think he's, by I would say, no small degree, a much better and faster painter than I am. But yeah, like, I mean, he did that drow face in just one stream, right? Like, I can't do a whole face in one stream. You could. Maybe you should stream. You can finish a whole model in an hour. You don't have a face for it. Would you like my face on camera right now? It's looking real normal. It's just like a ball of overexposed light. A head for radio. I thought you were our third best looking miniature painter in Australia, mate. That would be perfect for streaming. Brutal indictment on the Australian painting scene, indeed. I think we're looking pretty good, actually. Pretty good. It doesn't mean much if you've been to our events. That is true. But I feel like if we're calling all the Australian painters, like, we can't be too harsh on our friends. Like, that's us. We're being harsh to ourselves. Come on, guys. We need to practice some more self-care in the stream chat. Thanks. Alright, I think we're looking pretty good. A few weird little spots, but nothing too egregious on the bottom half of his face, but the forehead is a whole other story. Old mate still has no eyebrows as well, so we'll have to fix that up. The wholesome leadership we need, exactly. This is a official self-care painting stream, guys. Oh, head's getting in the way again. How are we doing? So, if we look at him like sort of from there down, he's looking good. His lips are probably a little oversaturated. I'll desaturate them a little bit. They look a bit too red, I think, right now. But speaking of which, I want the underside here of his brow to be more red. This might be awkward to look at. well, awkward to get in camera, but that's all right. Once married with kids, self-care goes out the window. At least that's how I justify. JC, isn't painting your that's basically what it should be when you're married with kids and running some business, right? Your escape. You go into your little chamber full of unpainted models, pick one off the shelf and give it a go. Made any new acquisitions lately, or have you been toning it down? I saw you posting on Facebook that you were looking for the Athami Alonso Elf Rider, as if the Spirit Elf Rider wasn't enough for you. Did you end up tracking one down? Not yet. It's such a cool model. That model he has, that elf rider. Well, I don't think it's an elf, like the Native American girl, I guess, riding a horse. That's a great model. And his model of Kvoth from Name of the Wind, like the bard guy, the lute. That's a really cool model as well. I wish you could still get him, but alas, we can't have it all. What did I miss? Sub 100 of them. Only 77 released. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Very sad. At least the Spears, like even the old ones, there's like probably 200 of them out. So you might have a chance, because there's certainly not 200 of them painted, you know what I mean? But those ones where there's like only 50 of them or something, like, Jesus. And then I hate to think how much you have to pay for it when you do find one. Alright, so this looks insane, right, from underneath the super red, but hopefully when you're looking right down the barrel, it looks pretty cool. Like, we want it to be quite saturated. The camera is overdoing it a little bit, for what it's worth. At least on my screen it looks a little overdone, but we want it to be pretty saturated under his eyes and that like furrowed brow. First Witch wasn't even pre-orders, he just had as many as he could make. Yeah, fair enough. The Mama Booho, I think there was 130 of, but I feel like I've seen 6 painted maybe. So there must just be a horde of them lying around somewhere on people's desks. Or, I mean, I'm sure there's just heaps that have been painted that I haven't seen, to be fair, as well. It's also another distinct possibility, I guess. Don't know why I would assume that I've seen every version of a model painted. So he goes. I'll get him back on camera in a minute. Just trying to line things up, make sure they're looking good again. Alright, I think we are. People can paint, and it's not for online gratification. Impossible. I don't believe such a thing could happen. Of course not. I don't know. You know what it is? I just kind of assume, and I know it's a silly assumption, but I just kind of assume, because it's display painting and not like Warhammer or whatever, that everyone who buys something like a Spiro would post it online. But I don't know why I assume that, because it's certainly not the case. I'm sure there's plenty more that are just painted and never see we never see him online. I am certain that is the case. All right. I just wish there were more of them painted and posted, because then I would get to see them. And I want to see more models, of course. Crazy talk, Seamus. What's going on with this spelling, JC? Getting into the forehead again. So I'm using these AK paints today instead of, well, I'm still got a bunch of Chimera on the palette, but using a few AK paints for pretty much the first time. They're pretty enjoyable. I feel like definitely much thinner than I'm used to. Just stirring him. He is a mod, JC. I thought if I'm going to make anyone a mod, I'll make someone ultra responsible like Seamus a mod. Maybe I should make my mum a mod. Although I don't think she'd be able to understand the technology. So yeah, if you start shit talking Seamus too much, just be aware. You can drop a ban hammer at any point with no warning. He's already silenced you on a couple of streams. The thing is, he really does get around, doesn't he? He's just, whoring himself out to any stream that'll have him as a mod, isn't he? Don't worry, Bulls. Sometimes we need to take stock. Seamus is for the people. He's the people's mod. That's right. He's the people's mod in that he mods for a lot of people. Doesn't he? He sure does. No need to worry. No need to worry. Alright, let's start on this big old forehead again and see if we can make it good this time and less weird and patchy. And we are certainly not off to a good start. Look at that. It looks ridiculous. Well, that's okay. I'm a bit concerned about this spot here. We'll see how it turns out. The weed is for the people. It's the people's weed. This is the end. I should check to see how my camera's holding up so that it doesn't, make sure it's not going to explode on us again. How long in? An hour 50 minutes? Seems to be going pretty well. Yeah. Seems to be going pretty well. Hopefully that is not the death knell for it. So, are you still playing Monster Hunter, Seamus? Why is that the game everyone's playing? Since when did everyone play Monster Hunter? I feel like when I was at JB Hi-Fi, like, that wasn't the super popular game, I don't know. But I feel like I see lots of people around it. Mandibly, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I didn't see that come up until just then. But thanks for joining us here on the stream. Much appreciated, much appreciated. We're trying to fix this guy's forehead at the moment. And it's not going super well. But I think most of the light spots are looking pretty good, to be totally honest. Just realizing here that could be a bit less awkward. Little spot. Damn, that looks great. Chonka Chews, thank you very much for the comment. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're liking how it's coming along. Face is certainly getting there. That's pretty much all I'm working on for now is his face. We'll go to the hair and the shirt and stuff as time goes on. But for now, the goal of this stream is, by the time I'm done, to have the flesh of his face mostly finished. Choose. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Glad you could join us. Are you also a painter? Or are you just joining along to join? We got maybe another 10-15 minutes until we got to take another break. Hopefully we can get a bit more forehead done before we have to take a break and run an ad and snooze the Twitch yelling. I feel like we're getting pretty close, and then it will be time to work on the shadow side. As you can kind of see, not a lot has been done here, but most of this side's been looking good. I'm a newbie getting into gunpla painting. Ah, that's cool. Gunpla's really not for me. I feel like it's too much smooth, flat, you know. It's not really what I've been enjoying painting, but there's some cool models. And certainly like those people who do like all the weathering and scratching and stuff, like on Gundams are awesome. Like I'm not that good at that kind of stuff. I tend to like painting organic things. Mandibly, do you have any tips for blending skin? It's always been my Achilles heel. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. What do you like? Do you consider this super blended? I would say it's sort of half blended, I guess. I would say like with skin, I mean, my sort of approach has been less about blending and more about getting like your light and darks in the right spot, even if they're really rough. So just like, you know, blocking in things really, really loosely and then worrying about blending afterwards, right? Because if you can get the light and dark, ideally blending will be easier afterwards. Now, if you've not watched me stream before, I'll show you what I like to do for skin. Let me just bring up some photos real quick. So what I tend to do is I light the model when it's unpainted, in the kind of lighting scheme that I'm going to be painting on the model. And then I will take a photo of it and use that as a reference. So let me bring up my photo here for you real quick. Can you see this? So essentially, I took this photo early on, before I painted the model, obviously, before I primed it. And this had the light set up exactly where I wanted. So I could see how the shadows are going to be cast across his face. There might be another slightly less overexposed photo. And this can kind of show me, you know, where some of the light spots are going to be, where some of the dark spots are going to be, how they're going to go. And what I'm trying to do is come close to replicating this. So I don't have to work out as much for myself. I've got a nice lighting reference that will show me exactly how light will fall across of this model's face naturally. And I think, like, personally, I would worry more about trying to block these lights and darks. So this is a grayscale, right? So you've got like your high value lights here in these little points across his nose and mouth and chin and forehead. You've got like some mid-tone gray, you know, some really dark, not quite black obviously, but really dark skin tones that would come in this cast shadow. If you can just get, like, if you're pretty new to painting, if you get like, you know, 3 or 4 skin tone colors, you know, and a highlight color and a shadow color, and just kind of block them in on the model in a way that will kind of match the way you want to light the model. That's a good first step. And then, you know, blending skin's going to be no different to blending anything else. So, you know, thin your paint, take your time. But if you're finding yourself getting stuck, I think doing something like this, obviously it's not helpful if you've already started painting the model, but on a new project, say, do something like this. Try and get a nice reference photo of your model, lit the way you want it to be lit. So you're going to be placing your highlights and shadows in the right spaces, and just do it super rough. Do it really sketchy. Just block the colors in. Don't worry about blending them, and it'll look good, even if they're not blended, if they're in the right spots. Solemn, yes, this is indeed a resin cast. It's not a 3D print. It's a resin cast model. I also did it again after priming the model. This is not as helpful, but this can be helpful for things like non-metallic metal and some of the specular highlights. Obviously, as you can see, if you wanted to use this for a face reference, it wouldn't be that helpful. And this is my reference photo for the kind of skin tones I'm trying to achieve. Mine have shifted a little bit because I want more color. Like, this is from a movie where they're lighting him and they've given him makeup, so his skin looks very flat. So I've tried to add more color to my skin, but this is the rough reference photo from The Hobbit. This is a photo I took of him, and then I painted over it in Procreate. So I did a sketch at the end of my last stream, and then I painted over it a bit in Procreate to give myself a little more direction for how I was going to be painting today. And again, like, look, you can see in this is just painted over in Procreate, right, like Photoshop. And this is not super blended, right? Like, you can see these lines are all pretty rough, but, you know, when you zoomed out, I think this looks pretty much like a face, right? So I think, personally, I tend to like worrying less about the blending to start and more about just getting things in the right, like the highlight and the shadow in the right space, and everything else should sort of follow after that. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I actually have these photos open all the time when I'm painting, so I can look at them. So I'm just moving them back to the right spot on my screen so I can see them all. Mr. Badger SWE, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm glad that was helpful. I think some of the other streams should still be available to watch as a VOD, and if not, I'm gonna just put the raw streams on YouTube soon. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'll be doing it soon. So if you ever wanted to watch them back and see how I do the opening steps. Everything on this model I've painted on stream. If you want to go back and look at any of it. Alright, so we're going to give it another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll have to take a bit of a break. Get up and walk around for a second, but you can still get a little bit more done before that. I need to refill the palette. I'm running out of paint. I will say one of the things with skin that's so annoying is like it's so easy to lose track of the thickness of the paint, and then it starts looking janky and chunky. But hopefully that's not been the case so much on this guy. At least, luckily, it's not something you can usually tell very much on stream. So, I think my camera is definitely doing me a few favors. Some of the texture on his skin. But a little bit of texture is not that bad, to be honest. Like, skin is not smooth, right? I mean, he's an elf, so he'll have smoother skin than most people. But no one has perfectly smooth skin. They always have, like, little marks and divots and bumps and lines and stuff. That's my excuse when I do a bad job painting a smooth surface, at least. Alright, what time is it? At 10 o'clock, or on the hour, wherever it is for you guys. We'll take a break for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and see how far we can get before I have to log off, because I'm getting tired. But I think I could still go a little while longer. Skin always ends up with some texture on mine. A little bit nightmarish when that's not what you're going for. Definitely. On I think on male faces, it's generally a bit more forgivable as well. But what I mentioned, you might not have seen, but what I mentioned just after my last break when I just got back is you can take some really fine grit sandpaper. Like if you get little like sanding sticks like these that are like 2000 grit, 4000 grit, you can just sand it back and smooth out the skin and then paint back over anywhere that you took too much paint off. It's a helpful tip I saw I think Andy Wardle talk about on a Cult of Paint video once. And it's certainly been helpful for me. And the other thing you can do is like give it a bit of gloss varnish and then matte varnish back over the gloss varnish, and that usually helps smooth out any excess texture, at least a little bit of excess texture. Would never have thought of that. We'll try. Yeah, definitely give it a go. It definitely helps if you can get. The only problem is on some models it's hard to get the sandpaper on the model at the right spot and angle to actually smooth it back. Varnishing at the end usually saves me from my issues with texture. Yeah, it definitely does, or at least helps a little bit for sure. Okay, I think pretty good spot as we go into our next break. Is that in focus for everyone? I think so. Probably making it worse now, aren't I? Yeah, I think so. Looking good? Alright, so we'll have a break for a few minutes. When we get back, we'll try and finish this top half of his face. Maybe see if we can even do a little bit on the shadow side. I don't know. We'll see. The aim is to try and get the light side of the face mostly finished. And I'll probably go for, I don't know, who knows, maybe another hour, maybe less, maybe more. We'll see how we go. Alright guys, quick break. We'll be back very soon. And we're back again. Oh God. Alright, I am getting pretty tired, so we'll probably not go for too much longer. I'll try and get his forehead into a state that doesn't look ridiculous and weird. Certainly does to me. I'm not sure if it's super visible on camera, but I think it looks a bit off. And I feel like I'm getting pretty happy with the rest of the light parts of his skin tone. But just his forehead and his brows are looking strange to my eyes. So I'll try and fix them up a little more, and then I'll probably call it. Need a little more paint, I think. Not much. Just a tiny amount. A little bit of yellow in here. Some white. Jeez. Been a long stream actually. It's already been 2 hours 10, but it's been good. I feel like I've made good progress on the model, which is nice. Always good to feel like we're actually moving somewhere. I don't know if it happens to you guys a lot as well, but sometimes you have like a painting session where you feel like you move sideways, the model doesn't actually get any further to being finished. Does your paint not get dry in the palette? This is a wet palette, so it will stay wet. Can you see we got the sponge around the sides? This is just one of the, just any wet palette will do the job. Helps keep the paint wet. Yeah. I like this this new paper from Redgrass that they use. It's like the reusable paper. I find helps keep the paint wet quite a lot longer than other papers that I've used on wet palettes. So I don't know what it is about that, but I like it. Although it's expensive, but you get to reuse it, so it's not too bad. As long as you actually reuse the paper, which I didn't for quite a while, but now I do. See in focus? Yeah. Sorry, this camera is not great at autofocusing, so if the model kind of drifts out of focus, just let me know in the chat. Although, to be honest, sometimes there's not much I can do about it. If I want to actually be able to comfortably paint. Hopefully you don't mind me just kind of painting away and then showing you guys what I've done every once in a while. So just doing a big filter across his forehead to try and start smoothing everything out. I'm going to try and make him look relatively cranky. He's a pretty cranky boy. The air in your country is quite dry, so normally even with a wet palette paint dries before my brush touches the mini. Right. Fair enough. Whereabouts are you located, Mandible? We're in Australia. I mean, it's pretty dry here sometimes, although I'm in Sydney, which is usually pretty moist. We have a dehumidifier running most of the time because it gets like moldy because of how much moisture is in the air. I just realized I haven't really done his nose either, so it's actually plenty to do still. There's been a definite bit of progress this session, but I'll take a photo at the end and compare it to where the last stream ended up, and it probably won't look that different, if I'm being perfectly honest. He's got quite a divot in this eyebrow, doesn't he? I feel like I worry kind of overdoing it a little bit, but we'll see. I hate humidity, but some of it when painting would be great. Yeah, I have heard some people get a humidifier for their house that they use, to make the air in their house more humid, which just seems crazy to me. But I think that's just because, again, I live in Sydney, which is usually very wet and humid. And if I had a humidifier, it'd be just like turning our apartment into a swimming pool or something. Just be swimming around in the air. In Spain, depends on the part you live. Fair enough. Whereabouts in Spain are you? I'm going to Spain later this year. All you Spanish painters, there's too many of you. You're all too good as well. Yeah, my brother's getting married in Barcelona, so I'm visiting Barcelona and then around Spain for a little bit, and then going to Paris for World Model Expo after that, which will be fun. First time I'll be going to an international painting competition. I'm really looking forward to it. Not been to Spain. I've been to Europe before, but I've not been to Spain before. Yeah, a lot to see, I'm sure. So my brother's partner is from Spain, but lives here now. In Australia. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be really good. Looking forward to the wedding, but also looking forward to hopefully trying to meet some Spanish painters while I'm there. It's going to be a good holiday. Yeah, it's going to be great. Definitely going to be great. But I got a lot of painting to do beforehand, right? Because going to World Model Expo, I got to paint a few things to take with me. So I don't know. I'll depending on how we go, maybe I'll try and paint at least some of one of the World Model Expo projects I'm doing on stream, or maybe what realistically will probably be better is if I just paint it normally and then bring it on stream to talk about it some stage. ¿Cómo estás? That's some top quality Spanish speaking voice. Been hitting the Duolingo. Gonna have to give this guy eyebrows at some point, but I'm actually really unsure how I'm gonna paint them, so I'm kind of dreading it a little bit. The reference photo I talked about before was of Thranduil from The Hobbit, who has gigantic fat eyebrows, but I think that might be a bit excessive to give this guy giant, super fat, huge eyebrows. We'll see. He does have really strong brows sculpted in, right? Like, I guess they would take a big bushy eyebrow, wouldn't they? But we'll see. Not sure what will look right. I'll have to reassess later on, I guess. I think the forehead's starting to look like a forehead now. Definitely looking better than it was before. Jesus. Wassa Cat, hello. How you doing? Thanks for joining us on the stream. Glad you like the elf. If you're just joining me, I'm basically trying to get most of the light side of his skin tone done before I call it on the stream tonight. We're basically just working on his forehead at the moment. Making good progress. Just gonna, whoops, line in a little bit up here. Now, usually you don't want to overline the hair to skin, especially in the forehead, right? Because you can see from, well, when the light's not overdoing it, like usually like the skin kind of blends into the hairline a little bit. So what I'd kind of do is like dump some skin tone up here, like where his hair parts. But I feel like I'm going to worry about that another time. Getting there. Certainly feeling a lot better about this now than I was earlier today. Oh, well, at the end of last painting session, I should say. I wasn't really thinking about it too much earlier today. Huh. So, sometimes if I am meandering a bit with the painting and I can see like I'm not really making much progress, I just switch to like the most extreme colors I've got. So like the absolute lightest highlight color, just to get, you know, some more extreme highlights placed on the skin. That kind of gives you a little bit of direction to go. It's a tip Jordan taught me, who's someone who's taught me a lot about painting. I think he's gone now. He was watching the stream earlier, so we can be nice to him. Head in the cam, sorry. Sometimes it drifts in, you know. I feel like if I, you know, I'm still getting used to this, right? This is like the third, I think, time I've painted on stream, so still a lot of growing pains, guys. And I feel like if I keep looking at the screen too much, like between the model and the screen too much, then my painting starts getting worse. can you buy this bust or is it printed? You certainly can buy it. Joe or Seamus, one of you guys want to do us a favor and just whack a link to Mindworks in the chat? This is from a company called Mindworks Games. They're an Italian company. I think this guy's pretty cheap. I think he's like 40 something Australian dollars. He's not very expensive. But definitely you can buy him. I really like Mindworks. They got a lot of really good models. Definitely check them out. Mindworks Games. If anyone feels like dropping them in the chat, drop them in the chat. There we go. Mindworks Games. This guy is called Usurper, as part of the Jody Muir signature series. So they make a lot of miniatures based off of like fantasy art, like by some classic fantasy artists. And this is from a line that is based off a bunch of artworks from Jody Muir, who's a really awesome, well-known fantasy artist. Mangatuga, thanks for following. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Alright, sorry about that. It's brief technical difficulties, but we're back to it. Alright. But yeah, thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for following. Mangatuga. What were we talking about? Mindworks. They have some great models. Definitely worth giving them a look in if you like these kinds of models, like models that are just really for painting. You know, they're not really for gaming or anything like that, right? And the other nice thing about a lot of Mindworks models is if you find ones that are based off artworks like this, you can just have a look at the original artwork and you've got a color scheme already sorted out for you. Now, admittedly, I am not doing this based off of the original artwork in terms of color schemes or anything like that, but certainly a way to do it if you're not as confident in coming up with your own ways to paint them or whatever. What are we thinking? I'm not sure. I'd have to... shadow in coming across a touch more, and then we'll probably just turn it down a touch at the end. Probably a bit overdone. That's okay. That black sword, yeah, gorgeous model, isn't it? From Brom. That's a hand sculpted one as well. So this model was digitally sculpted, I'm pretty sure, but if that's the model I'm thinking of, black sword sculpted by Patrick Masson. Oh no, there's a different one I'm thinking of. Snakeheart. That's a very cool model. I think I just saw a different thing in the link, but yeah, that's a cool one. Yeah, I mean, Mindworks are like a crazy, great company. If you like you like models and you want to paint this kind of stuff like I'm doing now, definitely one of the places to check out and look for some cool models. This one I got when they were doing a Black Friday sale last year. They were doing a thing where if you buy 3 busts or 3 models, you got like this little guy for free. So did a big order of a bunch of stuff that I haven't painted any of. So I'm starting with the freebie. Yeah, definitely worth snagging something from there. They've got a lot of great stuff. Yeah, I've got a big pile of Mindworks stuff now in the even bigger pile of even more models from so many different brands. I've been like having a real crisis lately trying to decide what to do next. This guy's easy to decide on because it's like, oh, here's the model to paint while I'm streaming. So if I feel like streaming, well, I know what I'm going to do. But like in terms of the more, I don't know, I've got to paint stuff for competitions I'm going to later this year, and I'm just really struggling to work out what to do. Might not end up making it quite to the end of all the lights out of the skin. I'm really starting to feel the fatigue, but we'll see how we go. I've gone for 2.5 hours, I guess. We'll see. I feel like I'm not set up in my light, and because it's in my eye line a bit more than it normally is, it's kind of making my eyes a bit more tired than they normally are after painting for 2 hours. Normally I can paint for a lot longer than this before I get tired, but I guess it's late in the day as well. certainly getting to a point where I'm going to stop, I think, guys. Even if we didn't quite get where we needed to. What I'll probably do, tiny bit more on this forehead, and then I'll mix up a little bit of this hair color just to sketch back on some of the hair color where I've painted over it by accident and stuff. And then we'll probably call it I think this forehead probably needs more work and me to be in a bit more of a better mood than I am now to really get right. Definitely starting to feel a bit too tired. But also, we want to end things when we're in a bit of an upswing. So, you know, if you end the model on a down note, you're not going to want to come back to it. So, let's try and do a few more things to get it looking good. So that way, we'll feel good about where we ended, and we'll want to come back feeling even better. Making it even better. So, good way to just get your model looking nice toward the end of a session is just take your extreme highlight and let's just sketch a few extreme highlights around his little forehead and face. Just to give it a bit of punch. That might make me, when I sit back and look at him, think he looks pretty cool. Sorry if I drifted. You operate your paint way thinner than I do. Well, I'm trying to because I've been having these problems with the texture build up lately, Seamus. And so normally I actually am not anywhere near this thin. Normally I'm just slapping the paint around and it's thick and chunky. But you know, there was a lot to look past on Vi that the paint was thick on the face. I keep that in mind now. I've tried to take that feedback on to heart, and I will try to improve. Part of that is thinning the paint more, and it will mean everything takes way longer, but hopefully it will look better in the long run. We can't ignore good advice, especially when we ask for it. Alright, I think that actually definitely did a lot to make him look cool. Yeah. I'll take a photo. I feel like some of this is getting lost in the camera, in the, what do you call it, video. Alright, skin's looking good. So what I'm going to do real quick is try and remember how I mixed up a bit of the hair colour. I think it was just like a bit of yellow, brown and white, to be honest. Something like this. It's kind of platinum blonde of the wood elf getting slammed by a giant fire octopus on Monster Hunter. Well, that's what you get for playing video games when you should be painting. Isn't it, Seamus? I think so. So, real quick sketch in of some of this hair, and then we're going to call it, just so that we're not leaving him too awkward. Like I said earlier, we want to end the session with our model looking pretty good, because then we're going to want to come back and paint him more. We're not going to want to procrastinate and not paint when we should be painting. And I'm feeling pretty good about what I did today, to be honest. Like I said before, last session, I wasn't feeling great about him, but I'm feeling better about him now. Now I'm being the painting cop. Paint for 3 hours a week and police others. You know, this was a rare, well, not a rare exception actually. The past few months have been pretty bad, haven't I? I feel like I had a, you know, you can attest to this, Joe. I did have a reputation of painting a lot and fast in the first half of last year, but then it all disappeared when I got so slack after Guild's Inn. Back half of last year was a tragedy. Too slow. Got to get back to painting more and faster, I guess. Get some more white in that hair, in here, maybe a tiny bit here, maybe a tiny bit here, maybe a little bit more here, maybe a bit more yellow in there as well. Oh, maybe that's too much. Alright, I think that's just about it, guys. We'll have a little look at him, we'll take stock, and then I think time for a rest. Go watch some river monsters, something like that. Just get a few more highlights on the hair in, just so we get the look of our model good. Oh, sorry, head's in the way again. All right. I think that's got to be it, guys. What are we thinking? Let's hold him down here a little. I think that's pretty good. Let's get him a little closer maybe for you guys. I think a pretty good effort for today. Oh, he's out of focus again. Yeah, pretty good effort. I think that light side skin is looking pretty good. Dark side, obviously, still plenty to work on. And the hair is obviously barely been touched. But I feel like I can feel pretty good about where he's ending. But the session, I probably... Oh, one tiny little thing. Let's just get a little bit more shadow in this line here. There. Just so he's frowning a bit more. Yeah. I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. So if I'll take a photo and pop him on Instagram. If anyone is watching the stream and wants to see more of my painting, just check out my Instagram. It's just Alexi K Paints on Instagram. And I will hopefully try and stream him again through the week. I'm feeling good about him, so I don't want to leave him too long before another session while I'm feeling good about the model. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thanks for everyone who newly followed me as well. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I will hopefully stream some more of this guy soon.